Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Today we are taking a deep dive into the remote work revolution, and we're looking at the source material not just as, commentary on a trend, but really as a strategic playbook for modern efficiency.
Absolutely. It's so vital to grasp that this isn't just a slight adjustment. This is a deep structural shift. It was accelerated dramatically by the pandemic, of course.
Of course.
But what we're seeing now is a permanent change in how businesses operate, where value is created. It touches everything.
And the numbers, they just underscore how permanent this really is. It happened so fast.
It really did.
A massive global experiment that, proved the model works. Our sources show that by August 2023, about 1 in 5 workers had already adopted teleworking.
Right. And that's not some marginal group. That's a huge portion of the global labor force.
Exactly.
And those figures are just going to keep growing. The projections are, frankly, staggering.
Yeah.
By 2025, an estimated 32.6 million Americans will be working remotely.
Wow.
So the conversation really has to move beyond if and into how.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission here is to get past the basics and understand not just that people are working remotely, but what precise strategic moves companies and individuals need to make to really thrive.
The initial catalyst was, of course, undeniable: the global shutdown. By May 2020, over 61.5% of the entire global workforce was basically forced to transition.
The largest, fastest corporate experiment in history. It just shattered this decades-old belief that you had to be in the same room to be productive.
And it worked. The proof is right there in the source material. 63% of companies reported an overall increase in productivity.
An increase, not just holding steady.
An increase, yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole narrative just flipped from, can we do this, to, okay, how do we optimize this?
But that success also creates a real tension, doesn't it?
A huge tension, and you have to manage it. On one hand, the demand from workers is overwhelming. 73% want to continue with some form of remote work.
But on the other hand, you see this caution from the C-suite. A lot of CEOs still expect a full-time return to the office within, 3 years?
Exactly. They're trying to recapture something they feel was lost, that physical presence.
And that tension is really where the strategy comes in. So what are the key adaptations happening right now to bridge that gap? The future isn't pure work from home for everyone. It's more defined by, I think, 5 major trends.
Yeah, and the first and biggest one has to be the hybrid work model.
Right. The compromise.
It's the compromise.
Yeah.
Organizations balancing in-office days with remote days, tailoring the location to the task, not just sticking to a rigid rule.
Then there's the tech side of things. It's accelerating so quickly.
Oh, absolutely. We're way beyond just Zoom meetings now. The source material points to things like AI and VR becoming fundamental.
So how does that look in practice?
Well, think about AI automating meeting summaries or transcriptions. That frees up so much human time. Or VR, spatial computing, letting teams collaborate on a 3D model from opposite sides of the world.
Like they're in the same room.
Precisely. The digital toolkit is literally becoming the new office.
Which I think leads directly to the third and maybe the most profound shift.
Asynchronous work.
Yes. And we should probably clarify what that actually means. It's not just about flexible hours.
No, it's a systematic change.
Yeah.
It's about focusing on results and documentation, not on getting an immediate real-time response from someone.
Right. It's a culture of trust.
Exactly. For global teams in different time zones, it's a necessity. You document decisions, you record walkthroughs, meetings become the exception, save for things like brainstorming, not the default for every little thing.
The fourth trend is a big one for management, a real focus on employee well-being.
This came directly out of that blurring of boundaries,
The always-on culture.
Yeah. So now you see companies strategically putting in wellness programs, mental health days, really flexible schedules. It's a proactive defense against burnout.
And the last one, which I think gets overlooked a lot, is sustainable practices.
The environmental benefit. Less commuting just means a lower carbon footprint. For any company focused on ESG goals, this is a massive, clear win.
What's fascinating here is it's how remote work creates value on both sides of the equation.
It's not a zero-sum game at all. It's a double bottom line. It's good for the employee and good for the employer.
So let's start with the individual.
For the professional, the big driver is flexibility and work-life balance. That's the number one thing. The ability to structure your own day, to make a doctor's appointment without taking a half day off, that's priceless. And the data shows it. 82% of job seekers say they value remote options highly.
And just think about getting rid of the commute. The hidden cost of that is just It's
Well,
soul-crushing.
huge.
The average U.S. commute is 27.1 minutes each way. That's nearly an hour a day.
Which adds up.
It adds up to 100 hours a year stuck in traffic. That's
Oh.
over 2 full 40-hour work weeks. Gone.
When you put it like that, it's incredible.
And remote work just hands those 100 hours right back to you for family, for hobbies, for sleep. The stress that eliminates is enormous.
And beyond just the time, it opens up your career. Suddenly you have access to roles that aren't limited by your zip code.
You're part of a global talent market.
You are. You could find a job that perfectly matches your very specific skill set without having to uproot your entire life and move.
Okay, so now let's flip it. Let's look at the business side. This is where the strategic advantage really kicks in, I think.
For employers, the first thing is the expansion of the talent pool. It's just a game changer.
No longer limited to who lives nearby.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You can tap into skills and different perspectives from all over the world. That's so crucial for finding specialized talent.
And the financial side's pretty compelling, too. The cost savings.
Oh, it's immediate and it's substantial. We're talking about reduced real estate costs. Companies can save up to $11,000 per employee per year.
11,000.
That's a huge amount of capital you can then reinvest into R&D or better tools or better benefits for your team.
But the big question for management is always, what about productivity? Do people actually get work done?
The eternal question.
And our source material hits this head-on. Studies show clear productivity gains. Remote workers were measured as 4.4% more productive.
And that 4.4% is so critical, it validates the whole shift.
Why do you think that is? Fewer interruptions.
That's a big part of it. Fewer distractions, more focused deep work time, and employees just feeling more trusted and empowered. For a big company, a 4.4% gain is, well, it's millions in increased output.
It's a data point that should really put some of those managerial doubts to rest. Here's where it gets really interesting. How does the actual plumbing of this new system work? Because the rise of remote is so tied to the surge in the gig economy and freelancing.
The connection is absolutely key. One enables the other. The source material shows that 36% of the U.S. workforce is already freelancing in some capacity, and that number is growing by 15% a year.
And that model is perfect for the whole digital nomad lifestyle, right?
It is. It gives contractors control and, multiple income streams. But for businesses, it's about on-demand talent.
Access to specialists for a specific project without the overhead of a full-time hire.
Exactly. It makes companies more agile, more adaptable.
But to manage all of this dispersed, sometimes outsourced system, you need everyone to have a high level of digital literacy.
That's non-negotiable. You have to be proficient with the tools. Project management software, collaboration platforms, video conferencing. It's the new literacy.
So if you're a leader, you can't just hand someone a laptop and a Slack login and expect it to work.
No. You have to invest in training. You have to make sure people know how to use these tools effectively, or all those productivity gains just evaporate into digital chaos.
Okay, so despite all the advantages, we have to talk about the challenges. Because if these aren't managed, the whole thing can fall apart.
They absolutely can. And the number one concern is still work-life boundaries.
Right. The convenience of working from home becomes the pressure to be working all the time.
The line just fades away. And that's a very fast track to burnout.
Which connects to the personal challenge for the employee, which is isolation and self-discipline.
Without that built-in social interaction of an office, it can get lonely.
So the strategy there is for the individual to build their own structure.
Yes. You have to build routines, set hard cutoff times for your day, and actually schedule time for social connection with colleagues, even if it's virtual.
But maybe the biggest hurdle, especially for the employer, is the legal and regulatory side.
It's a minefield, an absolute minefield. When you have staff in different states or different countries, you have to deal with wildly different tax laws, labor regulations, compliance rules.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It's a huge administrative burden. And if you manage it poorly, it can completely wipe out those $11,000 cost savings we talked about.
That's a great point. And it brings us back to company culture. How do you build a cohesive culture when everyone is spread out and the legal stuff is so complex? I saw a great example in the source material. Zapier. They offer new hires $10,000 to relocate out of high-cost areas like San Francisco.
Which is such a powerful statement. It shows a deep commitment to flexibility and trust. And when 98% of employees say they want remote options, that's a huge retention tool.
It really proves that culture isn't about a building anymore.
Not at all. It's about intentional investment in the employee experience, no matter where they log in from.
So what does this all mean? If we boil it down, the key takeaway for me is that The future workplace is just, it's adaptable, it's hybrid,
Driven by tech.
and driven by a workforce that places an incredibly high value on flexibility. This isn't just an accommodation, it's actually creating efficiencies.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it means both people and companies have to get serious about digital skills.
You can't fake
You
it.
can't. You have to embrace things like asynchronous work if you actually want to tap into that global talent pool and see those cost savings. It's about building a more resilient organization.
The source material highlights all this potential productivity global talent. But it seems the ultimate strategic challenge, the real hurdle for every business, isn't if they'll adopt remote work.
They have to. The choice is already made.
Right. The real challenge is how they navigate that complex web of legal and regulatory frameworks.
The tax laws, the compliance issues across borders, making sure that's all fair and stable for a team that's scattered across the globe. That, right there, that's where the true deep dive begins for every company's legal team.
Thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast for this deep dive into the future of remote work.
And if you want to go even deeper into the trends and the stats we talked about today, we really do recommend reading the full article, The Rise of Remote Work, How It's Changing the Workplace.
You can find the link to the full article and some other great resources right there in the show notes.
And be sure to subscribe to the SmartKeys podcast. That way you'll never miss our next deep dive into the insights that are shaping the professional world. We'll talk to you next time.